It's been a busy week in the Inland Northwest, so let's get you caught up with the KREM 2 News Week in Review. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for being here with us. Over the next half hour, we'll take a look back at some of the news you might have missed from the past week. So let's get started with one of the biggest stories from the Inland Northwest.
Right now, the Becker family is sending a big thanks to the Spokane County Union for those members who donated their PTO. Without their support, Ryan Becker would have lost his county job and the health benefits, allowing him to manage a terminal illness.
Family is everything to these new parents.
Atlas brings so much joy.
And right now, Ryan Becker is fighting for his family's livelihood and future.
I worry about my kids being without a dad, my wife being without a husband.
While on medical leave with his newborn son, Ryan's health suddenly declined.
I was carrying Atlas's car seat for about 300 feet, and I ended up getting this really bad blood blister that was really large, like on the side of my leg.
And it got much worse.
Be really careful. We tell people it's kind of like being the Mr. Glass of skin.
Doctors determined he developed pyodermic gangrenosum, a rare inflammatory skin disease that causes large, painful sores on the skin. And it's taken away early moments of joy for Ryan as a new dad.
My favorite position to hold him in, I called it sloth mode, where he would, drape over my forearm. And there was a moment where we were at Mayo Clinic, and I started bawling because I realized that I couldn't hold him like that anymore.
Ryan, who is a Spokane County building planner, hasn't been able to work since January because of the disease.
We had 3 solid days of crying and holding each other.
2 weeks ago, the county sent a letter warning Ryan of possible termination. It says his state family leave time has run out, and the county says it's held his position while getting care, even without a definitive return to work date. The warning comes less than a month before Ryan becomes eligible for federal coverage through FMLA.
To find out that they were going to terminate me right before I became eligible for that was just like, are you kidding me?
To think, gosh, we're going to lose that job and all of those benefits and potentially the medical. I mean, literally, it really is life or death for Ryan.
But fellow union members stepped in to help. The county says union members donated enough shared leave hours for Ryan to meet FMLA eligibility, which means Ryan's job will now be protected for another 12 weeks. A union member in a different department from Ryan says she donated 8 hours of her PTO. She asked us to keep her name anonymous out of concern for retaliation.
When I learned that he was having to treat a very, very rare illness and some of the things they'd already gone through to diagnose it, and that they also are a young family with an infant at home, I couldn't help but sympathize.
12 weeks is additional time for treatment, but the Beckers worry Ryan's job will still be in jeopardy if his health doesn't improve at the end of that leave. Meantime, Ryan and his family are holding on to what they can count on, each other.
I'm hopeful that whatever God's got planned for us in the future, it's going to be incredible.
I asked Spokane County about Ryan's potential termination. It says the law doesn't allow it to disclose employees' information. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Back in February, we told you about terminations at the U.S. Forest Service. As we enter fire season, it's still unclear for our state firefighters just how much help they'll get from the feds. Washington's DNR firefighters are trained and ready to go for this summer. With just as many engines and aircraft as last season, their own resources aren't what they're worried about.
I mean, the headlines look concerning. I just want to really stress how much work has been going on behind the scenes to accommodate some of the...
What hasn't been typical, says spokesperson Thomas Kyle Millward.
Again, looking for an adjective that doesn't sound super negative.
Staffing at the U.S. Forest Service.
Some of the federal administration's decision-making.
U.S. Senator Patty Murray estimates the federal agency lost 7,400 employees since February's DOGE cuts, some to resignation or early retirement options. 75% of those workers, she says, were cross-trained to fight wildfire.
Trump is taking a match to the front line of defense for our forests and our communities.
Her office says the Trump administration hasn't been forthcoming about firefighter staffing levels. It's unclear even to DNR.
Working under the assumption that potentially there could be a bit of a handicapped response from the Forest Service.
It's disruptive, it's created chaos, and it's made it harder to prepare for fire season.
Public Lands Commissioner Dave Upthegrove says state firefighters may have to do more heavy lifting this season and may rely more on other mutual aid partnerships.
We also have agreements with neighboring states and with British Columbia, so if we find ourselves short of equipment, we have arrangements to get that help right away.
But with federal jurisdiction making up more than 40% of Washington's public lands, that hasn't completely extinguished uncertainty about the season ahead.
We've reached a point where we're as prepared as we could be given the circumstances.
Kyle Millward says this fire season looks to be above average, with that fire danger really picking up in mid-June here in eastern Washington. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Well, I will tell you what, this is one of those days you think of when you're in the deep of winter, right? So it's gonna be one of those warm days, and a way to beat some of that heat, why not stop by one of the 19 splash pads that the city of Spokane Parks has running throughout the city of Spokane. So you've got the Ice Age Floods playground, and then you also have the Rotary Fountain. Those are two options just right here at Riverfront Park alone. Again, 19 different ones throughout the city of Spokane, and the pools aren't open yet. So those dates are, I'll touch on that in just a few moments, but those will be opening up a little bit later in the year. Again, 19 different splash pads. The only two that aren't open as of this week are Grant and Nevada Parks. Those two will open on June 16th. If that date sounds familiar, that's because it's also the date open swim begins for AM Cannon, Comstock, Hilliard, Shadle, and Witter. So you'll have to wait a few more weeks for the pools with Spokane Parks. And then opening day for the Spokane County pools is also June 16th. So today, if you're looking for some free water fun to beat the heat, splash pads just might be the option for you. They open at 9 a.m. They run until 8 p.m. So again, free family fun. It's like the ultimate hack, especially if you got young kids. A way to get them outdoors, have a good time, and then also maybe you get a nap time in to have some time to yourself as well. But for now, reporting here in downtown Spokane, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
As we go to break, here's a check of your weekend forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Week in Review. Each weekend, we walk you through headlines from the past week in the Inland Northwest.
On a sunny summer day, Spokane Valley's river trails are a draw for running recreationists. But across the water along Flora Road, it's all hard work. This 46 acres north of the Spokane River is now on the path to becoming Spokane Valley's cross-country destination. It will be called The Course, a cross-country venue that will host everything from middle school to master's level races.
We'll bring grandma and grandpa and your siblings to come watch you race at the course.
Michael Basinger is Spokane Valley's economic expert and says they identified all the way back in 2016 the need to pick up the pace on attracting visitors.
Tourism was one of the areas that we weren't performing very well in.
It's why the city partnered with Spokane Sports to change course. The $7 million cross-country venue was identified as a top project to drive sports tourism.
It's outside money coming into our market This is money that's being generated through hotel stays, at restaurants, at our retail, at transportation.
As for how much money it could bring in,
we're trying not to put any rough guesses out there at this point in time.
Basinger says they're running some projections now, with the course set to host its first races this fall. But if the outside money generated by Spokane Sports' other events is any indication,
we saw it was $86 million in direct business sales from sports tourism. That's events that just Spokane Sports goes out and brings to our market.
The project's first phase is fully funded through the city's lodging tax revenue. A new state grant is speeding things along.
A $282,000 grant to complete a really signature feature of the course, Spokane Valley. That's the finish line arch.
Which means the finish line is in sight.
I think it's pretty amazing. The city of Spokane Valley will have something that they can call their own.
Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Well, that time period in between Memorial Day and Labor Day are deemed the 100 deadliest days out there on the roads, not only for the state of Idaho, for the state of Washington, but throughout the entire nation. So, in my conversation with AAA, they just said they want this week to serve as a reminder to rethink some of our actions when we're behind the wheel. Today, for Safe Drivers Week, the focus is on impaired driving. According to Idaho Transportation Department, 41% of all fatal crashes from 2020 to 2024 involved impaired driving, with 502 people killed in those type of crashes over the time in the state. Other items of emphasis throughout the week: distracted driving, drowsy driving, aggressive driving, and failure to wear a seatbelt.
One bad decision could be devastating, not just for you, but what about the other people in the car? What about the people around you? And so this is really an opportunity for everybody to sort of rethink, okay, just because the weather's good doesn't mean that I have the ability to necessarily beat the laws of physics and slow down in time if I need to do something in a hurry.
So the Idaho State Police are also urging drivers to be vigilant on the roads. They're asking drivers to slow down, drive sober, stay alert, watch for motorcycles, give space to RVs and trailers, and then also use caution and work zones. And lastly, the possible most important one is to keep your cool when you're behind those wheels, because again, the main focus is to get to that destination in a safe fashion and drive safe. For now, reporting in North Idaho, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
We want to remind you that you can get the latest newscasts and weather forecasts anytime on KREM 2 Plus. It is free to watch and download for Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week.
Well, Governor Bob Ferguson signing the Right to Repair Act into law will require electronic manufacturers to provide knowledge on how to repair their devices to the consumer, as well as repair stores. William Hines more than knowledgeable about different parts it takes to keep computers working.
Anything from Torx to Phillips to different Phillips, flatheads, hex nuts.
He spent the past few years working at Recycle Tech. It's a computer repair store with locations in Spokane and Spokane Valley. After 22 years of business, Hines says some of their services are limited.
We used to do more, but they've become so difficult to repair anymore, needing special software and tools.
But that could change for Hines and his customers with the new Right to Repair Act in Washington state. The law requires manufacturers to supply the right tools, parts, and documentation to consumers and repair businesses with the goal of fixing broken electronics instead of throwing them away. It also prevents the practice of parts pairing. That's where manufacturers lock certain parts of a device through its software that controls who can repair it. That new law takes effect starting in 2026 and is enforced for any electronic device sold in Washington after July 1st, 2021. That includes cell phones, tablets, and computers.
It's going to open up a lot more in terms of being able to repair stuff at home.
Hines says it will better serve the consumer as well as his business.
Having a baseline level of understanding of computers and how to fix them, or just electronics in general, it greatly reduces our workload.
A workload Hines says, while potentially lighter, won't stop a good amount of his customers from coming in and needing his knowledge.
They'd rather be doing their own work or hobbies for me, it's a hobby. And for a lot of us, it is a hobby, and that's why we stay in it.
Now, many other states have their own versions of the Right to Repair Act in place, including in Oregon and Colorado. Washington State's goes into effect on January 1st. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Well, this has become somewhat of a tradition for us here at KREM 2. Starting our day at Riverside Memorial, there is nearly 4,000 American flags here. And then this is where they host their annual pancake breakfast as well. The veterans, they can come out here, get a free pancake breakfast with the sausage, free coffee as well. And then it just serves as an opportunity for them to spend time with one another as they pay their respects to those who made the ultimate sacrifice. So it really is a special opportunity. Dozens of bikes come out here as well, flags waving in front and behind them. We got a chance to speak with Fairmount Memorial and just talk about what this experience means to them and making sure it stays here in our community to honor and pay respect to veterans and those who made the sacrifice. How special is it to have something like this here in Spokane?
Yeah, so we have over 3,900 flags flying through our parks. These are full-size American flags. They fly in the same spot every year, so it's very special, and it's just an experience. So we encourage people to come out here and just experience what it feels like to be amongst the flags and the remembrance. It is very special.
So today was a wrap up of a full weekend of events with Fairmount Memorial. They do this every year. Again, it's important for them just to make sure that the veterans here in our community know that they're appreciated, they're respected. And again, as you go on for the rest of your Memorial Day, continue to honor those who served our country and gave their all. For now, reporting in Spokane, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
Welcome back to the KREM 2 News, a week in review. I hope you're having a great weekend. Let's get back to one more story you might have missed this past week.
Barrett Olstad's lived in Sandpoint for several years. Her biggest draw to the area, she says, is the community's love and support for veterans and those in active service.
I saw that patriotism and I felt that patriotism that I had felt back on the East Coast on a different level. But nonetheless, I figured out pretty quickly that people here loved their country.
And now Olstad's fulfilling that patriotism by participating in this year's Tunnel to Towers climb in New York City. It's a charity where participants walk up 104 stories of the One World Observatory honoring lives lost on 9/11. Participants pick a charity they wish to raise money for as they embark on the large climb. Olstad's doing it to help give back to the Wounded Warrior Project. It's a charity that helps aid veterans coming home with any physical disabilities or needing mental health resources.
It's important we don't abandon our wounded. That's why I'm doing it.
Doing it to give back, and is the only Idahoan participating in the nationwide event. She hopes to show her community's support for the military and the sacrifice many soldiers and their families have to endure as a result.
I have a 19-year-old son. I have an 18-year-old daughter. And the thought of them going away to war and not coming back, or coming back wounded, just, I don't even like to think about it.
The climb starts at 5 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, and Olstad hopes anyone who can donates what they're able, hoping to bring awareness to those who have and currently serve in the armed forces.
We care about our veterans and that we want to do whatever we can to support them when they're coming back and they have needs that need to be taken care of.
Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Keep it here for more news and weather updates throughout the weekend. And don't forget, you can watch our latest newscasts anytime on your schedule on KREM 2 Plus. Download and watch right now for free. I'm Cody Proctor. Thank you for watching KREM 2 News Week in Review.